Okay, we're going to make my steak tagliatelle with rosemary butter sauce. So hopefully you've got your pan of salted boiling water on the hob, boiling away nicely, and your pan for the steak getting nice and hot on the hob as well, on a nice high heat. First off, we need to do the steak. So hopefully you've taken my little tip and have a ramekin filled with salt and pepper. All this means is that we can get our hands dirty with the steak and not get dirty steak hands all over our salt and pepper grinders. So we just need to add just about a teaspoon of salt to either side of the steak and just rub it in. Steeping oil, sorry, not salt. Hopefully you're watching as well, not just listening. And then turn the steak over, another teaspoon of oil. And then just rub that in. And we do this so we oil the steak, not the pan, and it means that it will get your steak really nice and caramelised. Now we just need to generously season the steak on both sides. So good pinch of the salt and pepper, and give that a little pat down, and then turn it over and do exactly the same on the other side. Give it a little pat down. There we go. And so by now, hopefully your pan is getting nice and hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop the steak straight into the pan, then go and wash our hands, and then go and put the pasta straight into the boiling water. So you've got that, steak into the pan, wash your hands, the pasta into the boiling water. Right? Straight in. It should be a nice big sizzle. Perfect. Okay, hands are clean, and now just pasta into the boiling water. And we can just give the pasta a little stir just to break it up so it doesn't stick together. And I've got this on a high heat so it'll come back to the boil. And hopefully, if we've done everything right, it'll all be ready at the same time. And we're just going to give the steak about a minute and a half on each side. And this is a great example of a recipe. 4 ingredients, really simple, but tastes absolutely fantastic. So that's been a minute now, and we'll just leave it a little bit longer. And the temptation is to move the steak around the pan, but that you'd be wrong. You just want to leave it in the pan, cooking away, and it'll be getting really nice and caramelised. I'm just going to give my pasta another little stir as it's starting to boil again. And that's been a minute and a half, so we can turn the steak over. There we go. And look at that, really gorgeous and caramelised. There's nothing much to do here, we're just leaving the steak just to cook. You can go and get your board to rest the steak on once it's finished. You can go and do that now. Okay, that's been another minute, so if you press your steak, watch you don't burn yourself. So you can see mine is still really nice and squidgy. That means it's rare. That's probably how I'd like mine, but it's probably medium is what we'll cook it, so it's more to everybody's taste. So we'll give it about another 30 seconds and that'll be perfect. Okay, that's been a minute and a half, and if I press my steak, I can feel it just slightly firmer than it was 30 seconds ago, which is what we want. So we can turn the heat off the steak and remove the steak to the board. Okay, and so hopefully this is the second side, and you can see how really nice and caramelised this has got. And the bits that are really nice and caramelised, that's happened because you haven't moved it around the pan at all. You've just left it to get that caramelisation and start cooking through. So we can leave this to just to rest nicely, and all the juices will be going back inside it, so it'll be perfectly tender, and we can get on and make the butter sauce. So we can take a little pan on the hob, and then we just need to add in, it's about 20 grams of butter, so which amounts to about a wedge like that. Go. And you want to just turn the heat on so that this will get nice and hot. I've got an electric hob, so it's still hot from when I had the steak in it. But you want to get the butter nice and melting. So sort of a medium heat if you're using gas. And then add the chopped rosemary straight in. And we'll just give that a little stir together. And as the butter melts, it'll just lightly cook the rosemary and infuse it really, really nicely with its lovely, lovely flavour. So we can leave that just to bubble away and check your pasta now, which should just about be done. We want it to be al dente, as they say, so be soft enough that it's cooked, but still have a nice bite to it. Perfect. So we can drain our pasta now, and your butter should just be nicely bubbling away by now, and we can just leave that bubbling away perfectly whilst you go and drain your pasta, and we'll be ready to slice up the steak and put everything together. Okay, drained the pasta, it's time to slice up the steak. And we leave this to the last minute so that it doesn't get dry. You always, if you're cutting anything like a chicken breast, just always do it at the last minute so it doesn't dry out. And we're just going to cut this into nice little strips. And we're going to get rid of the big bit of fat because we won't have had enough time in the pan. And there we go, see that? Perfectly medium cooked. Nice thin little strips of steak. Go. I'm just going to get rid of the fat, as much as that would be nice to eat as part of a big steak with some chips. It won't be very good to chew on with the pasta. So just chopping it up, and I'm going to cut it in half this way just so we can get the pieces nice. It's all the same size. and we'll discard the last bit with the fat on it. So just slicing it nice and thinly. We go. Now we can scoop it all back up and pop it back into our frying pan. We go. Then we can just add in a handful of tagliatelle, and I'll move this around so you can see everything a bit better. Add in a handful of tagliatelle and another one. Then straight in with your butter sauce. And use a spoon to make sure that you're getting all the nice bits out of the pan. And then we can give this a light toss together. And if I've got this again on the same hot plate, but a low heat would be perfect for this. It should all still be nice and hot enough, so you don't want to cook it anymore. So that's nicely mixed through. All you're doing is mixing the tagliatelle through and then add in the last remaining lump of tagliatelle. Give it a nice mix together. Once you can see the tagliatelle being coated with all the rosemary, you know that it's done its job. And by putting it back in the pan that the steaks have been in, you'll also pick up the flavour of the steaks. So I'm just going to clear my board and give my hands a wash, and we'll be ready to serve up. Okay, so we just need to get one of your pasta bowls or plates and then just nicely place this in the middle like so, and then I think we'll just have to distribute the bits of steak. There we go, and one more bit I think. This bit looks nice. Perfect. And that's it done. I hope you enjoy it.